Hi everyone, it's Sarah from Saki Media, and I've got a great guest to chat to you today and share all the secrets, all the dirt, all the fabulous things about direct sales and MLM marketing. But this isn't your normal interview, and the reason why it's not your normal interview is I'm interviewing Tony Blacker, and he is a former SEO, a really, really good one, somebody who is really competent, who has now, some would say, seen the dark side, and other would say gone to the light, and using his skills to make a world of difference to lots and lots of other people. So, hi, Tony,
Hi,
and thanks for coming on.
no problem.
Um, should we start right at the beginning? What's your career experience and how did you get to SEO?
Well, way back when, my wife decided she wanted a website. This is back in 1999, 2000. And we rang around for quotes, and the cheapest quote we could get was in the region of £5,000. And we kind of didn't have that money. So she went away for the weekend, and I taught myself how to make a website. And it was pretty dire. It wasn't good, shall we say. But over the course of the next year, I revamped it about 5 or 6 times, and in the end came up with a site that I was extremely happy with. And not even by accident, kind of just as a natural progression, we got it ranking. And within 2 years, it ranked #1 for the keyword jewelry on MSN, as it was then, on Yahoo, which used to be important, and on Google. And as a result, we were one of the biggest online jewellery retailers in the UK. We then had a simple choice of take on premises, hold stock, take on staff, or sell it. And at that moment, I wasn't willing to make that jump. So we sold it. But as soon as I sold it, that then freed me to go back to all the contacts that had been messaging me, asking me if I could build them a website, if I could get it to the top of Google, do the same kind of thing. I then didn't have a conflict of interest. So I was then able to go back to them, and we decided we'd try 6 months and see whether there was an appetite for what I was doing. And within 6 months, I'd won 2 global awards for web development, and had a list of 15 clients that all had page 1 rankings. So as things progressed, we eventually became a limited company, took on apprentices, had a division that was doing development and a division that was doing the SEO. I'm quite a passionate person. And if I see something that's wrong, I'm one of those idiots that can't shut up and just walk away. And I have to point it out. And one of the things with the SEO field is there are a lot of snake oil salesmen. A lot of people promising the earth and all the rest of it. So I kind of almost made it a mission to go around and be the anti-snake oil salesman and say, look, you can pay me, but if you want a guaranteed result, I'm the wrong person. I will do my absolute best to get you a guaranteed result, but I'm not going to say, you will get a first place listing if you pay me £500 per month, because I don't know what everyone else is doing, and if everyone else is doing the same as me, we'll all stay in the same position. But it worked. And I think quite a few clients found it refreshing that somebody was being upfront with them. And we became very, very successful. The awards kept on rolling in. Then I had 4 clients go bust in the space of 3 months. 2 of which are actually being investigated by the Serious Fraud Office, because it wasn't anything to do with the company, it was to do with the director taking money out of the company. This really blindsided me, because obviously I could see the rankings of the site, see what they were doing, see that their turnover was going through the roof. I mean, I had 7 clients at £1 million plus per month turnover, and 4 of those were the ones that went bust. So it really did come out of the blue. So as a result, we didn't go bust. We just kind of stopped trading. It was look, we can carry on having this fight and start all over again, or we can stop trading. And it was just about the right time for Avon. My wife had a friend who's been doing Avon for years and years and said, do you want to do it? So we did, as representatives, and within 6 weeks we became a team leader, and 6 weeks later I became a team leader, and the rest is kind of history. So there you go. In a nutshell, that's the last 15 years of our lives.
And it is an amazing journey, just hearing you just go through it in the space of 3 minutes.
It was quite a rocky ride, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I like a challenge. If you sat me behind a desk at a normal job, I think I would last about 2 weeks before I'd go mental. I like difficult things being shoved. Sorry, I've got a kitten that will not leave me alone.
Hold her up for us, Tony.
When she next comes back, I'll pop her up.
Introduce her.
But yeah, I don't like simple. I like to have unusual things flung at me and then try and come up with a solution for them. Sorry, she's kind of in fight mode, but there you go.
Oh, she's such a cutie.
She is a cutie. She has got elements of devil about her, but anyway, sorry. So now you bet, Sammy.
Right. So the last part of things for you were you had the opportunity to cease trading. How did that feel?
It was heart-wrenching. It really was a kind of do or die moment. And I kind of felt I'd achieved everything I wanted to as SEO, and that if I took on a new batch of clients, I would just be going through the motions. I'd be doing it. I knew I could get results for them, but without sounding too big-headed, there wasn't a challenge anymore.
You needed a fresh start.
Yeah, I knew how to, not necessarily game, but I knew how to work the Google system. I knew how to get a site to the top of the rankings. There was nothing there. Avon came along, and especially as a man doing Avon, it's not unusual. And well, straight off, you've got a challenge there. And then it was a kind of, well, look, I've mentored 7 apprentices to NVQs. Part of what I was doing as an SEO provider was teaching clients to do their own SEO so that they didn't have to keep paying me, which is kind of a little bit silly from a business point of view, but sensible from a personal point of view. So it was kind of a natural progression. Although it seems like completely different industries, it's not. It's still about people development and business development, both of which were core elements of the SEO side of things. So it's not something I would have necessarily sought out, but as something that came to me, and I thought about it and thought, actually, there is a business here, and people don't necessarily look at MLM or direct selling as a business. Lots and lots of people go into it as either additional income or a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they then expect it to provide a full-time income. And you can't have the two. It's either going to be something you enjoy and it gives you a little bit extra, or something you enjoy but you work hard at, and then you can get the full-time income. And unfortunately, there are quite a few people who enjoy, work hard at, and don't get the full-time income, either because they haven't got the right tools in front of them or because they're not working in the right way. And both of those are frustrating for me, because you can see you just need a little bit of information and away you go.
All right. So I have in the blogging challenge quite a few people who are MLM people, and they're marketing MLM products online. Now, this is something that you probably just slipped into with ease, coming from your background, because you know how to make web pages, you know how to write and create content around things. And do you know how I found you?
No, go on.
I was working on something for work at home businesses for mums.
Right.
And I said, oh, Avon do that. And the first person that come up for work at home for mums was Team Sachet. And I went, that's Tony Blacker.
That would be us. We do work hard on our own rankings, obviously. What I will say, it's not something I fit into easily. It's something I assumed I would fit into easily, with a business background and with my wife loving Avon inside out and knowing every single product, because she's got about 6 of every single one. Actually, it wasn't an easy transition. I would say the first 18 months, we probably wasted our time. And that's a horrible thing to say about yourself. And it's a worse thing to realise that you've spent 18 months not getting anywhere. Don't get me wrong, we won awards, we won accolades. But from a business point of view, 18 months in, we had a combined income of about £600 every 3 weeks. Well, that doesn't pay the bills. You know, you cannot make a living from that. And having worked at it full time for 18 months and then being at that point, you think, well, what am I doing wrong? And actually, that's the point where I did have to take a step back and go, right, it is a business. I do have to have my business head on, but it's not a traditional business in terms of what I have been doing. It's a different type of business. What is it that I'm doing? What is it I'm seeking to do? And where do I want to be? And what steps do I need to fill in along the way? So part of it was going back, understanding the business model, and actually doing that. Part of it was getting my geek on and opening up Google spreadsheets and doing a tracker and a planner and all the rest of it. But the biggest part of it was looking at my people skills. And if your people skills aren't right in any aspect of MLM, you are on a hiding to nothing. There's 2 points where people fall over. One is when they start seeing people as numbers. Yes, you do need numbers in your team. You need sales, you need so on and so forth. But as soon as you see people as numbers, not as people, you've lost the connection. And at that point, nobody is going to work for you. Nobody's going to work with you. Nobody's going to help you get where you need to get. And you're not going to be able to help them get where they need to get. And as soon as that bond is broken, you're out. You have nothing. And the second mistake people make is going too far the other way and seeing everybody as their best friend. And you do have to run it as a business. But it's that fine line. You need the personal contact. You need to make sure people trust you, that you are trustworthy. You can't just expect people to trust. You have to demonstrate that you trust them, and then you do what you say you're going to do. And once you do that, it was a very, very quick transition. So we've been doing it just shy of 3 years. And from 18 months to 2 years, that 6 months was a complete turnaround for us. Our income doubled in 6 months. And then the following year, it's more than doubled again, and I'm quite proud of the fact that we were able to say, right, we're doing it completely wrong, start again. And don't get me wrong, we still have people in our team from those first 18 months, and they're wonderful people and they're brilliant, but they will be the first to tell you that we've completely changed for the better, I would hope. I don't know, you'd have to speak to them about that. So it's kind of a story of contradiction, same as most businesses. You have to do this, but then you have to do that. And it's walking that fine line. So I always, there's quite a few people go into MLM and they haven't actually made the decision about which of 3 things they want to be. Do they want to be a consumer? Do they want to be a distributor? Or do they want to be a manager? And each of the steps up, you have to be the one below. So you cannot be an effective distributor unless you're also a consumer. Now, as a man selling makeup products, that causes a problem. But then it doesn't, because we sell plenty of stuff that isn't makeup. There's men's toiletries, there's aftershaves, and also there's nothing although I don't wear makeup, there's nothing for me to stop saying to a customer, that's a really good choice of perfume. Or I think that mascara would do well, one of my other customers says. But I'm interested in the product itself. I might not be the biggest fan of the product itself, but I have that interest. So I'm a consumer. I'm also a retailer. If you're a good retailer, that is the natural step to then become a manager. If you are not a good retailer yourself, you shouldn't be going down the management route, because how are you going to teach somebody to do something you cannot physically do yourself? And the respect won't be there. If your sales are £200 a month and you're asking your team to pull in £1,000 a month, it's not going to happen. I have people in my team who are much, much better at sales than me, but they know I'm hot on their heels and I will be learning from them. And that's again, another important aspect is to learn from your team. There are things that they can do, and every single business, doesn't matter whether it's MLM, SEO, traditional accountancy, whatever, you will have setbacks. In the MLM world, they come a lot faster. So your setbacks and your highs come hot on the heels of each other. But you've got to actually learn from every single setback and take a step out of yourself and say, well, what did I do wrong? Always look at yourself first. Did I do something wrong? Not look at the other person who's let you down, because people will let you down. That's human nature. But to look at yourself and say, did I do something wrong there? Did I not communicate effectively? Did I over communicate? Did I bombard them with information? Did I not give them enough information? Have I supported them in the right way? If you can rule yourself out of the equation, then you look at the other person. But when you're looking at the other person, you're giving yourself clues as to what you might do better next time you find that kind of person. Does that make sense? And then the third aspect is it something that's completely outside both your controls? Was it just the fact that their father passed away, so it was just the wrong time? In which case, step off. Become the person rather than the business person, and say, look, I'm really sorry about your dad. As and when, speak to me later down the line. I've just realised a whole conversation, and we've gone completely away from blogging in the web. But
No, this is great. I was just thinking to myself, do you know what? I'm not actually going to share this on the blogging group. I'm going to share it on the Facebook page of
okay.
Birds on the Blog, because this is now content that fits more like that. So, my next question for you is, I should imagine the women are very accepting about Avon and a bloke, because women tend to be quite easygoing when people come into their world, as other people would see it. How do the men react when you say what you do?
Apart from the sly little chuckle, and actually, I would pull you up on something. That quite a few ladies, when I go to sign them up, are very, very surprised.
Are
And they
they?
will say, "I really wasn't expecting a man to ring," or, and this is a horrible sexist hangback, but when I originally speak to them on the phone and then go and see them and say I'm a self-employed sales leader, they assume I must be high up in the management of Avon because I'm a man. And
Mm.
that's actually Avon as a company. The higher management are all female, or virtually all female, so that wouldn't work anyway. So you get the surprise from the female side of things. Men, I actually have quite a few men in my team, and it does open their eyes to what can be done, because Avon is seen as a pink company, and you know the tagline is the company for women. But I think once people start talking to you and realise that you actually can succeed at it regardless. And also, it means when ladies join, I can say, well, look, if I can sell a mascara,
What
you've got a
excuse
head
have you
start.
got?
Yeah, exactly. So, funny enough, 2 weeks ago, I was walking home from school, and a couple walking behind me were chuckling about a man doing Avon, because I was wearing a T-shirt with the branding on the back. And it was the first time in 3 years I can remember anyone mocking,
Oh.
which is actually quite a nice thing to be able to say 3 years in.
Mm.
I have friends that engage in what I call banter, you know, but it's light-hearted. I would say that's the only time I've had any kind of negative response whatsoever. Obviously, I do have to be careful on the kind of personal protection side of things. So whenever I'm going to see a lady, I always make sure they know I'm a bloke you've never met coming to see you. If you'd like a friend there, or if you prefer a lady to visit, that's fine. It's very rare anyone does take me up on that, but part of what Avon do is we champion domestic violence awareness and things like that. You don't know what that person's background is, so you just have to cover that. So, but apart from that, I wouldn't say what's between my legs has any impact on what I do as a business, you know.
Right. Okay. Now, I've mentioned how I found you, which was looking for work at home mums. Is Avon an MLM business ideal for parents, or is it something that you have to have a set of qualities that are predominant in parents? What is it that attracts these people to you?
The reason we kind of target ourselves to stay-at-home mums is because it is a really good stepping stone. Quite often, young mums have had a career, had a job, then do the stay-at-home mum bit, and they're either bored silly and want something to get back on the career ladder, if you like, or they're going stir crazy. Or they want something that's theirs, because when a little person arrives in your life, they do take over, you know, and everything is about that little person, and you don't get much, you lose your sense of independence, and it's just giving that back. So I would say probably 60% of the people that join are people with children under 2 or 3, because they're using it as that stepping stone. There isn't a preset criteria, and parenthood isn't a prerequisite for being an Avon rep by any means. It's purely playing to where we know our bases. You know, that they are the people that are most likely to come towards us. Across my team, I don't think I could point to 2 people that have similar backgrounds. You know, and this is across 300 reps, so it's quite a vast set of people. And I'm racking my brains. I honestly cannot think of 2 people that you would say, oh yeah, their story's the same. You know, everybody's got their own background, own things they bring to it. And one of the things that I think in any MLM is really important is when you recruit people, is tailoring what you're offering to what they need. You know, there are so many different ways you can do what I do, but if you become a clone of me, it's not going to work for you, because you aren't me. You know, and that, I think that applies to any business that you're trying to replicate. So even if you go down the franchise route, if you try and force someone into a straitjacket of you will do it this way, it's not going to work for that person because they're not the same person. They may not have 35 hours a week they want to put into it. They might only have 10. They might have 2. That's fine. It's just deciding what they want from it. And the other thing is what their desires are. Some people, as I said, are doing it just because they're going stir crazy and they want something to do. The money is really not important. Other people, the money is everything. And that's what they're doing it for, is because they're absolutely desperate to get some money coming in. And I think if you speak to anybody in any network marketing organization that's been doing it for more than a year and say, why do you do it? I'd be really surprised if you got more than 10% of the same answer in any category. We did this about a year ago with Avon, with a bunch of people who'd been doing it more than 5 years, and the answers were so diverse, really out there. And some of them you think, whoa, okay, didn't expect that. But it's a people business, and if you get the people right, everything else takes care of itself.
Now, you just mentioned 300 reps. So I'll assume year 1 you had 20 reps, year 2 you had 40 reps, and this 3rd year, that's when your reps have exploded. What particular qualities do you look for? What says to you when you're talking to somebody, regardless of whether they're going to sign up or not, what says to you, hang on a minute, this person is somebody who can make a lot from this? And even if they say to you after, no, it's not for me, they're the person that you walk away thinking, gosh, I really wish they would have, because they're just amazing.
Wow, now that's a hard one.
Sorry.
First off, I'm going to take you back a bit. Your assumptions about the team growth are actually slightly, how I said we had that kind of awakening moment at 18 months where we thought we've got it all wrong. At that point, we'd already got a team of over 200 reps.
Right.
And our 2nd year, we probably went to 250. So it wasn't a massive growth. It was just changing who was there and how we were looking after them. And now, as I say, we're around the 300 mark. And it's a good point for us to be. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have 3,000, but I don't think at this point I could properly serve 3,000 people. In terms of who, the first thing is a smile. If somebody answers the door with a smile or walks up to me at a recruiting stand with a smile, I know they're halfway there. The qualities I'm looking for are probably somebody who actually cares. Funny enough, somebody who's been let down in the past and wants to make sure they're not going to be that person. They're not going to let down their customers, because it is an industry that's easy to get into, but it's also incredibly easy to leave. And because of that, customers will place an order and then nothing gets delivered. And I want to make sure if I'm taking someone on that even when they do leave, they don't leave the customers high and dry, because then that makes it more difficult for the next person to serve that customer base. And then on the other side of it, there are quite a few times where I've spoken to people and thought they need to do this for their own confidence. You can speak to you're speaking to them, they won't give you eye contact. You can tell that they have no self-belief whatsoever. And you know that if they'll just give this a chance, it will really bring them out of the shell. And there are quite a few people in our team that the money I've earned is amazing, don't get me wrong, but actually I love the fact that I've been able to bring them back to being themselves. There's a lady I took on last year who wouldn't even knock on a door to get her book back, and she was petrified of opening a gate. If there was a front garden with a gate, she wouldn't open the gate to go and knock on the door. And she's got past that slowly. Started off just showing her friends and family, but now she has an area, she serves it really, really well. And there's other things in her life. I can't take credit for other things in her life happening, but you can see the journey. You can see where she's gone from that. So in terms of who I'm looking for, it's pretty much anyone who's got an open enough mind to try it. That's it. And then from there, what do they want? How can I help them get what they want from it? Does that make sense?
Yep. My next 2 questions are both Avon kind of directly related.
Okay.
All right. The first one, I'll tell you them both, and then you can decide which one you wish to answer first.
Okay.
This is a work from home opportunity, as in your home will be your base and your office, and obviously you can upscale that or just have it how you like. Is this a role that's suitable for somebody with chronic health issues that may not be able to commit to a regular thing? Is this something that people can pick up and put down as their health dictates? And question 2 has gone completely, oh no, it's come back. Is Avon geographically bounded? As in, when somebody comes to you, do you say you can only work this square mile? Or is it you could be working with somebody up in Scotland one day and then the next day you could be talking to somebody down in Devon? Are there geographic restrictions to how you would interact and recruit reps?
Okay, so the first thing, health issues. We have quite a few people in our team that do have quite severe health issues, and actually, it's one of the reasons we originally came to Avon. I hope my wife doesn't mind me sharing this, but she has quite severe IBS, which has made it. She can go months with no problems whatsoever, and then she'll have months where 3 days out of 5 she can't move. So that was something that appealed particularly to her. We have other people in our team that have various different issues and illnesses. In terms of can you pick it up and put it down, to a degree, yes. In terms of if you join and then decide that you haven't got an order this campaign, you don't put an order in. There is a 3-week cycle. If you don't put an order in a 3-week cycle, so long as you've let the person who recruited you know, that's not an issue. If you miss 2 of those 3-week cycles, it does kind of reset your account to a new starter again. So we would encourage people not to go down that route. But then if they need to and come back 6 months later, that's fine. That's not a big issue. In terms of team leadership, you are expected to place every single 3-week period. Stop. But that should take care of itself. And there's nothing to say your customer base can't be your friends, your family, people you know socially. So that takes some of the pressure off. Do you see what I mean? Because once people know you're a rep, you do get people chasing you down the street saying, "Can I have an Avon book?" And it's lovely. We moved house year before last, and whilst moving, we were using Avon boxes, obviously, because they're quite handy for carrying things. And virtually everyone who came past the van was going, "Oh, Avon, can you drop me a book?" And I had a notepad with 29 addresses on before we'd actually moved in. So as a brand, it's well known, and you do get customers that way. But in terms of kind of personal circumstances, it is very much you work how and when you want. Our job is to give you the tools to do it, and then the representative's job is to take those tools and use the ones they want. There's kind of a logic there. And then in terms of geographic restrictions, as a distributor, your customers can be anywhere you like, anywhere at all, so long as you are happy to serve them and you're able to get money from them. If you have around an area you deliver to, that is exclusive, and it's normally starts at about 100 to 150 homes. And it's very rare I can't give somebody within 10-minute walk of their house. 90% of my team don't drive, so I'm not going to give them the other side of town. I want to give them somewhere they can look after, and also so that their customers know they're a local person. People like to buy local. As a team leader, I can recruit anywhere across the UK. However, I do have a restriction that I know most other MLM companies don't have, and that is I can only recruit someone if I see them face to face, and a Google Hangout or Skype wouldn't count. I've physically got to see that person. And when I first joined Avon and saw all the other companies and thought, well, hang on, they don't have to do that. That's not fair. Why have we got this restriction? I really didn't understand it. 3 years down the line, I get it completely. It's the personal contact. And sometimes even on a video call like this, I can't see your body language. I can't see whether your foot's tapping like crazy because you're actually bored of what I'm saying, or whether you're tapping your hand because what I'm saying is overwhelming you, So actually meeting somebody face to face and being able to gauge the body language and change what I'm saying to tailor to that person. And also, if you meet someone, they're more likely to ask you a question. It could seem a really innocuous question to me, but to them that could be the make or break, and it could be the thing that's the difference between them earning £100 a month and £500 a month. And if they haven't had the opportunity to ask that, they're not going to succeed, which probably then means they're not going to stick in the business. So, but my team at the moment, I have 2 ladies in Aberdeen. one in Coventry, two in Canterbury. I have had people in North Wales and in Liverpool. Obviously, some of them are people who I've recruited locally and they've gone into university and moved away. When I first started, I did do a road trip up to Aberdeen and recruited all the way up and all the way down.
Wow.
Which was a kind of intensive recruitment training session. I don't know if I'd repeat that, but it was fun. So there you go.
Brilliant. Excuse me. My next question is around going back to your online skills and your experience. A lot of MLM companies don't like people promoting online. And I know Avon in the past have experimented with sending you links to a rep's book and you can press the button and it flicks a page. I don't know if you still have them.
Oh, no, we still have that. It works very well.
It seems that Avon is actually quite progressive in embracing online because that suits how a lot of women would prefer to work, that they can chat to their friends online and in Facebook groups, and then somebody says, oh, can I have a book? And they can say, oh yeah, I can send you a link, and that works quite well for them. Why do you think Avon have embraced this part of business now, and other MLMs are, I'll say, stuck in the dark age and wish you to physically meet somebody to take an order?
Okay, I would actually say Avon were one of the latecomers to online. I think part of that is the pure size of the company, that it's like an oil tanker and it takes quite a while to turn a corner. So the things like, we now have a video we can share every campaign with highlights that's produced by Avon themselves, so they control the content, and we're encouraged to share it. Well, that's only been around for about 9 months. That's really late to be embracing. And actually some of the newer MLM companies that come along are very fleet of foot and have really embraced online. I think it's partly the pressure from those competitors that's forced Avon online. And secondly, I think actually they have seen what individual sales leaders are doing. So people who are recruiting, funny enough, we have a seminar coming up on Monday, which is all about online training for Avon team leaders. So, you know, they're really pushing the boat out on it. But I think they're following the lead of people who went before me that proved you could build a team online, that you could support a team online, that you could find customers. The top 20 sellers in the UK right now in terms of representatives, I'd hazard to guess at least half of them are selling on Amazon. You know, the market's out there, and it would be silly for a company that basically, without customers, we're nothing, you know. And the customers are there. Yes, we'd love to have a representative serving every door, but that's not always physically possible, especially if you live in somewhere really rural, you know, where you've got a 2-mile driveway. You're not going to get representative trudging up that driveway to put a book through on the off chance you might spend £2.50. But if you've got all the products on Amazon and there's a representative who's willing to sell it to them, great. And actually, during the 3 years I've been a representative, they have removed that restriction from us. When I first started, we weren't allowed to sell on eBay and Amazon, although loads of people did. And I think it was a kind of taking down the wall because the flood had already gone way over it, you know. In terms of why other companies don't do it, maybe it's because their leadership, you know, the people that are actually out and recruiting, are successful without online. And I know certain companies attract an older generation of people to them. I'm not going to name names because I'll have lawsuits come flying through the door. But there are certain companies where your typical person doing it is 60 plus, and that's fine because it suits that particular type of person. But they're not necessarily the person that's going to be online. I've just painted the entire grey market as somebody that isn't online. But what they're used to is face-to-face contact, and that's what works for the business. At some point, all MLM companies will have to embrace online. They won't have a choice. You know, it's too big a market. And in terms of Facebook, when you're talking, I think it's something like 80% of UK adults spend at least 10 minutes a day on Facebook. Well, you've got to be there. You don't have a choice. You have to be there because that's where your audience is. And in terms of costs, it's so much cheaper to put an ad on Facebook than it is to stand outside leafleting. You know, your reach is massive. And also, I think we live in a world now where people won't go into things without the information. People won't just walk into a electrical shop and buy a TV. They'll go online, they'll do the research about the goods, the bads, the reviews, all the rest of it. Well, why should I be any different? Yes, I'm asking people to join me to earn some money, but in effect, I'm selling that opportunity to them.
Mm-hmm.
And how can I expect them to come into it without all of the information? Now, don't get me wrong, face-to-face contact is never going to go. It's still by far the best way of doing things. But there will be lots of people at 11 o'clock at night going, oh, I might be interested in doing that. Well, I want to be where they're going to find me so they can find the information. And if they do want to join, I'm the person they do it with.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where the kind of SEO side of it plays right into my hands. And, you know, where actually I would say my wife's a better Facebook user than I am. Although I'm the geek, she's the social person. So we have a support group on Facebook for our team and a different support group for our leaders. And they're both extremely active groups, and they serve a role which is brilliant. They wouldn't ever replace us going and physically seeing people or speaking to them on the phone or the one-to-one interaction. But there are quite a few times where people will have a question that they'll ask, and there's actually 50 other people who have that question but weren't going to ask it. It was just niggling away in the back of their head. So if you've got a group that person can ask it, everybody gets the answer. It's out there, and it gives a layer of transparency to what we do. It gives a layer of accessibility. We're not some people in an ivory tower that have this massive team that nobody can speak to. We are part of what they're doing, you know. And there's always new things coming out. Twitter, to be honest, I've never properly got my head around Twitter, and I see it as a personal failure that I've not quite embraced it. I am a very sporadic Twitterer. About once every 7 months, I'll do 10 tweets, and then I won't go anywhere near it again. Google Plus, I love, but I love it purely from the geekery side of things, and I don't think our reps are using Google Plus. Things like Pinterest are just amazing because you can always find graphics on there. You can always share stuff. YouTube, I have used quite extensively. Things like this, you know, being able to broadcast a hangout or to do your own video just to explain what a latest incentive is or what you're planning on doing and how you'd like to take people along with you, you know. That I think it's another way of just basically broadcasting your message to a load of people in one hit. So yeah, I think I've completely strayed from where Avon.
No, it's great because
I think it's people like us doing this, and we're not the leaders even within Avon of embracing online at all. There are other people doing it in a whole different way. But Avon kind of have seen what we're doing, seen the success that's come from it, and thought, well, that would be silly not to be part of it and to encourage others to do it, because obviously if we do well, Avon does well.
I think it's great that you're building up a community and interacting using social media to just keep in touch and be connected to the people that you're supporting and the people that you're serving. And for a lot of people, they don't get how social media is all connected, that you need a blog to share on Facebook to get somebody who's on Facebook to come over. When they make that move over, they get to see you a little bit more, and then they may join a newsletter or they may watch one of your videos, and then they get that little bit more connected to you, so that eventually they come into your group and they're not frightened to say, what's this? Why is that broken?
How does that work? What's this all about? And what do they mean when they're using this terminology? That every single company has their own terminology. And the other thing I think with MLM as a whole industry is everything is about the now. You know, if you've got a prospect, I hate that word, but somebody who's interested in joining your business, if they don't say yes then and there, throw them away. Well, that is so wrong, because we're saying it's a people business. Well, if it's a people business, you've got to build a relationship. Some people will just make an impulse decision and say, yes, I want to do it right now. There are other people who will say, well, I'll have a think about it. And that's absolutely fine. You know, I have no problem with somebody going and think about it. To be honest, I'd rather everybody went away and thought about it, because then when they come back, I know they're serious about it. And they've had a chance to look at the pros, the cons, weigh up everything, maybe speak to the people that they know that have done it in the past and not done well, and then think, well, what did they do wrong? What can I make sure I don't do? You know, and then when those people do come back to you, they're so incredibly strong, and they're really, really motivated to do well. And this is, as you were saying, the blog is something that can get that initial interest. Somebody then makes some kind of contact with you, whether it's an email subscribe or a text, or, you know, I'll fill in an application form, I have a chat with them, they say, oh, thank you very much, I'll come back to you. Well, I'm not ever going to put that person's details in the bin. I'm not going to harass them, but I'm not going to put that person's details in the bin. It might be 6 months later, I just give them a call and say, hello, it's Tony from Avon. How are you? You know, is it something you're interested in? If somebody says to me, please never call me again, yeah, I'll make sure I never call them again, you know. But it's the online tools give me the ability to do that. And I'm a massive fan of Google spreadsheets. You know, there's so much information you can save there, and they're safe. If your phone gets stolen, it doesn't matter, it's there. If you have a fire, it doesn't matter, it's online. Well, don't get me wrong, if you have a fire, it kind of does matter, but you get what I'm saying. And there's all of these tools that are available online now for all of us, the vast majority of which are free, and they're all things that you can use, and you can use quite creatively, not necessarily for the purpose they're designed for, you know, but you can use them to enhance what you're doing and maybe make your life that little bit easier, or just to focus what you're doing. If it shaves 5 minutes a day off what you're doing over the course of a year, that's a meal out you can have with your family, you know. And it's looking about things like that. What can I do that's just going to streamline what I'm doing, that makes my life easier, that means my team are better supported? What can I do that just does all of that? And then once I've figured it out, is then passing that knowledge onto my team so they can do exactly the same. You know? And that's the whole business's replication. Now, why shouldn't I replicate the tools I found as well?
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time, Tony. I think I told you, 20 minutes, and we've been just jabbering away, and it's been brilliant because I think you've shared a lot of the answers to questions that people have around MLM, Avon, and just about everything that anybody could want to know, you've answered, and that's just absolutely brilliant. So if somebody was watching this, and although we were talking about MLM and online and how they're connected and all of the other things, if they were interested in Avon, how would they get in touch with you?
Right, the easiest way would probably be to either go to our website, which is www.teamsashi.co.uk. I don't know enough about Google Plus Hangouts. How embarrassing is that to say, to change it on the thing at the bottom? But that's option one. Second one, just search on Facebook or Google Plus for Tony Blacker. I'm quite gormless. It's quite easy to spot me. Just add me as a friend and send me a message. You know, that an informal chat. Is it something that's right for that person? And if so, how can we make it perfect for them? You know?
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Tony. I really appreciate it. I'm now going to stop broadcasting.
Okay.
And no, I'm not. I'm going to lose the mouse. Oh, I found it.